Hello everybody and welcome out to episode 99 of the Save Slot 3 Gamescast. I'm your host, Gizmo, joined this week by Massive Das, Chris Pengelly.
Hello everyone.
And of course, Mr. Stadia, CW Lanky.
Hello.
So boys, we're actually into a new year. How exciting. But we have to talk about last year first.
Yeah.
Which is even more exciting. So, before we get started, we got quite a good response to the Fantasy Critic episode. So if you like what you see, hit the like button nice and early. Helps us just be interested, really. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But so that's enough shilling. That's Pengles' job. We're here to talk about Game of the Year. So before we get to that, we're going to do our usual rigmarole and what we've bought, what we've been playing. Let's start with the biggest dog in the yard. Massive Das.
Yes.
What have you bought? What have you been playing?
Right, so I've only played 2 games, and I've finished these 2 games. So one was finished in last year, and that was Sonic Superstars on the Nintendo Switch version of that game, which I finished the main story playing that in portable play. Playing as all 4 characters, bits and pieces, because there's some stages you have to play as certain characters, which kind of makes sense in the story. And then you unlock a 5th character. And I did that 5th character's story on the TV one day. Oh, that game looks awful on the Switch when you play it on the TV.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, I'm like, they made some serious cutbacks to get this running at 60 frames a second on this Switch. On the portable screen, it doesn't look too bad at all when you're running quite quickly as Sonic. But when you're playing as the other character on TV, it does not look good. But
They should put that on the box, definitely. You don't run fast, you run quite quickly.
Yeah.
It just says you run.
Yeah. But I enjoyed, playing it. Like I said, the main campaign, playing it in portable play. Enjoyed it. It's got boss fights, unlike another recent 2D platformer. So that's good to have some boss fights and stuff like that. So pretty fun.
Hell yeah.
Another win for Sega.
Right.
Another win for Sega.
Another win for the Switch.
Well, yeah, I guess. I didn't have the portal at the time when I asked for it for Christmas. Otherwise, now thinking back, if I had the portal, before I asked for it, I most really said PlayStation 5, and I would have played it on there, and would have got some trophies and stuff as well. But it wouldn't have looked like arse playing on the TV as well, would it? So, But what I have played on the TV on PlayStation was some Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is the first game I finished this year.
And how is that?
It's pretty good, actually. It's a weird one, because obviously we've done the podcast, and said before I'm not that keen on it, because I didn't like 2 or 3 Remake, and 2 and 3 Remake differ from the classic 2 and 3, in my opinion, especially 3 original was more actiony too, but still had the survival horror elements. Where 3 remake goes to even more total action. Well, this just seems like Resident Evil 4 but prettier. So you can't really, the game's in my top 10 games of all time. It's like a masterpiece, and it's like, yeah, we just made that game look prettier, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because it is just Resident Evil 4. But, prettier version in 2000.
It sounds to me, Dave, like what Chris Pengelly is saying is if you remake a game he likes and you change things, that's bad. And if you remake a game he likes, but if you remake a game he likes and you don't change things, that's also bad.
Yes, you're right.
It almost sounds like you went into this, with some pretenses here, but
yeah.
Are you questioning the integrity of Chris Pengelly? Surely not.
Yeah, I am. But
it does make me think, it's up for the Game of the Year at Game Awards. I'm like, should it have been? It's it's the same game really from 2005.
It's
but just
so
looks
hard
pretty,
for me to take this seriously when you're the person that goes on about Last of Us Part 1, Pengy.
Maybe you should do a playthrough of RE4 the original on the GameCube, Pengy. So I do wonder if there's some massive rose tinted glasses going on. That you're saying that this is just the same game but prettier. I mean, I've not played it, so I don't know. But I'm just wondering
like.
if
I haven't played it since. When did the Wii version of that come out, Dave?
2006 or 7.
Yeah, so I haven't played it since 2007.
I think what you should do, Chris, is record some footage of a game. Maybe do some content, and maybe you can actually do a little general comparison.
I'll be honest. I think you'll probably find that you are wrong in this one, Bingy.
Yeah, but again, like if you go back to the 2 Resident Evil 2s, like
but they're that's even worse because they are drastically different games.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, I could get Resident Evil 2 being up for Game of the Year, like the year it was, because it is a drastically different game. Even though I don't like it, it's completely, obviously a completely different game. Where this just seems, the same but prettier sort of thing. Which is a good thing and a bad thing because people like Craig that haven't played it before. This is most probably the best way to play this game now.
What's the bad thing then, Chris?
It's a game that I've already played.
Again,
so there isn't really a bad thing. Is that what we're saying? Because you're going to buy Last of Us Part 2 this year, right,
that's just a remaster. No, that's not a remake. So I have less expectations.
But you are going to buy that and play that again, right? And you'll sit here and you'll say how amazing it is, right?
Most probably, yes.
Okay.
So anything else, Pengy, before we move on to someone else?
No, so that's the 2 games I played, and I have 1 purchase.
And what's that, buddy?
I have, from the Earth collection, the Cobalt Blue DualSense controller.
It's a sexy controller.
Yes. It's got quite, especially the back has a bit of a purple. Next to my purple controller, it does have, there's a bit purpley, the back of it. But yeah, it's very, very nice and shiny.
Lovely. I'll stick to my pink one, I think. Oh, well, we'll move on from Pengy. Unless there's something you want to add as I'm mid-sentence, Pengy.
No, I believe that is everything.
Lovely.
But now I have 3 DualSenses.
And only 1 pair of hands. Let's move on to me before we get to Craigo. So I have 2 pickups, but we'll start with what I've played. So on the Switch, I have now finished Pikmin 4, which is game number 2 in my backlog challenge.
Well done.
It's all right. It's a really hard review because it's nothing wrong with it, but I wasn't really desperate to play it every time I picked it up, if that made sense. Like it felt like I was finished.
I was like, there's a word for that, Pengy. What would you say?
It begins with M, then ends in D.
I love this weird new campaign you two have against the Switch, by the way. But
is it a Final Fantasy character as well, Pengy?
Oh yeah, it is a Final Fantasy character as well. Yeah.
There's a character in that new game called Mid.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate Final Fantasy 16. Anyway, Pikmin 4's fine.
Well, that's their short name.
If you like Pikmin, you'll like this. If you don't like Pikmin, you won't like this. If you've never tried Pikmin, you probably will like this. But there is a demo. But it's fine. It's good. Looks fine.
Also,
looks good on the Switch.
I will say, if you have a Switch and you've not played Pikmin, Pikmin 3 is available on Switch, and that's the
all 4 of the Pikmin games are available on Switch. So
they are, but that's the one I would go for personally.
But yeah, Pikmin, fine, and that's it for the Switch. On the PlayStation, so I have 2 pickups on the PlayStation. So I finished Pikmin, and I took that and a couple other games to CEX because obviously I can no longer eBay the naughtiness. Got cash for it. I think about £41 for the games I took in. And then on the PlayStation Direct website, they had a huge sale on physical games. So I got 2 games for £60 instead of £120. Excuse me. And that was the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut on PS5 and Demon Souls. Because I know they're on PlayStation Extra, but I don't have PlayStation Extra, and I don't have £100 that I then can't get anything back on, if that makes sense. Because if I hate these games, I'll still get some money back for them because they're physical. So that's my 2 purchases.
It's just clocked to me. Demon Souls, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's time to give it.
Madman.
I'm playing Elden Ring for the old Game of the Year shenanigans, the old backlog. So I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. It's one of those. It was between that and Returnal, and I decided that Demon Souls was more likely to get played of the 2. I
feel like even the Soulsy people aren't that like.
It's a tough one. I think people like it, like the remaster, remake, or whatever. But it's a more basic one. But that's kind of what I'm after. If that makes sense. Like it seems pretty straightforward. You just you it's not like overly complicated, but we'll see. I'm willing to give it a try. I played the original game in 2010 on the PS3, so it was okay then. We'll see if it's good now. If it's not, then I can sell it. And that's why I didn't want to go the PlayStation Plus route, to be honest. As for what I've played, I have played exclusively 21 hours of God of War Ragnarok on my PS5, which is also in my backlog. Now, boys, this is, and I'm not even being hyperbolic here, this is comfortably the best game I've played on PS5. It is unbelievably good. It looks great. It plays even better than 2018. There's a lot more weapon variety, a lot more story variety. The story is better than 2018, which is mental to me because, as we'll talk about later, sequels don't always do that. And it is just a top tier game. It would probably, like, at the moment, like, I haven't finished it. Right now, I think it would get in my top 20 games of all time before even finishing it. And I'm like, I think I'm 75% through the story, and I'm planning to go and get the platinum, do all the bosses and stuff. But it is incredible, God of War Ragnarok. If we could go back in time, it would probably be my game of the year for 2022, not Pokemon. But yeah, really.
Well, that's a big step up there, Davey. That was, yeah.
Two very different games of two very different levels of enjoyment. Because I really did. I know, like, Pokemon Scarlet had its problems, but I really did enjoy that game. Like, I was looking forward to playing that game every time I turned it on. And God of War is exactly.
I got a game of the year or something.
Yeah, it was our game of the year last year. But yeah, God of War is honestly a different level to 2018. A different level. Like, it's so good. So hopefully, Craigo can get to that at some point, because I think he will agree with me. But yeah, that's all I've played, really. I've been like, oh, maybe I'll play a bit more Cyberpunk, or I'll jump. Nope, it's just been God of War, God of War, God of War, God of War. To the point at which I sat here on Saturday and played for 6 hours straight. I actually gave myself a callus on my hand that I had to put a plaster on from holding the controller, because it is hard in some places, that game. But yeah, really, really recommend God of War Ragnarok. I know that's not a shock to anyone, but yeah, great stuff. But that is all I've bought and played. So we can move on to Craigo.
So pickups, nothing, boys.
Let's not change the habit.
Yeah, nothing there. On the PlayStation 5, after 50 hours, I've now beaten Final Fantasy 16.
Woo!
So I've done all the main quests. I think I did every single side quest as well.
Nice. What about all the hunts board? I didn't really
do much hunt board. No. I only did the hunts board where you had like side quests to do them.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's definitely a game which the more you play, the longer it goes, the more you get into it, the better it gets. 100%. I really like the ending as well. The ending is very, very good. But it's a hard game to like rate. It's a really hard game to put in the top 10 for game of the year, because like, if you did ask me right at the end, I would have been like, this game's fucking amazing. I fucking love this shit. It's so good. But obviously, I've got to remember that there was times on this podcast when I was like 10, 15 hours where I was like, I'm bored. It's grim. The side quests suck. But like I said, the longer it goes, the better it gets. So even the side quests by the end are really good. So yeah, it's not a game. I really liked it by the end. I was enthralled. And I'm looking forward to doing the DLC. Like I think we said last week, I'll probably wait for both of them to drop and get them both and do them both.
That's what I'm gonna do now, and just buy like the Game of the Year edition or something of this, and then play the DLC and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, enjoyed that a lot. About 50 hours. So that was it for the PlayStation 5, and then back on the Xbox. Through the mighty Game Pass, I started Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which I'm really impressed that I managed to nail that. I think I'm about 3 hours in. I'm on chapter 2. I think I'm towards the end of chapter 2. I've been messing around and doing some of the side quests and some of the karaoke and stuff, just for a bit of fun. And I'm loving it so far. These games are so good. It does the Like a Dragon, like Yakuza thing, where at times it looks incredible. At times it looks like a fucking 360 game. I don't know how the studio does that. It's odd.
You can just tell which assets they reuse and which they don't.
Yes, it's so funny. I love the opening as well. There's like a cutscene like opening with some rap music in the background. It looks incredible. That's really good. Combat's great. Quite tough so far.
Oh yeah.
I'm playing on normal. It's not been like horrific so far, but you definitely do have to concentrate more, I'd say, than I did when I was just playing Judgment. Because in Judgment, I felt like I was just kind of smashing buttons in the combat and shit was happening all over the place. Whereas this is definitely a bit more focused. And if you're not using the dodge mechanic properly, and if you're just kind of trying to wail on people, you will just die pretty quickly. But yeah, really, really enjoying that. When I'm off 3 days in the week, hopefully I can kind of smash through a bit more of that. So it's not that long, is it? It's only like 5 chapters.
I think it took me 20 hours.
Yeah, it is like it's got quite a high completion percentage on True Achievement. It's at like 11 or 12%.
I think it's only about a 30-hour completion.
Yeah, this is what they said, but I don't know how like hard it is. So I know like some of the mini games can be a bit of a bastard sometimes. In these
mini games, I think are easy. It's the easiest Yakuza game I've played anyway. Like I think you can because none of the mini game achievements I don't think are like 100% the mini game, apart from the Colosseum, which is just fighting, and then I think maybe the Cabaret, which again you just look up the answers, and it's just real life big titted Japanese girls, so it's not the worst
which
thing
is
to play.
really odd.
It's very straight, but again, it's not the hardest thing to do, is it? Or is it? Bound Trigger Battle. But yeah, the rest of the mini games, there's a lot of them. Are pretty, like the arcade ones are like play every game. The Master System ones are play every game. So
yeah, what was it? I played. I did one little go of Sonic Fighters.
Oh, it's the easiest game in the world. That's a button masher. Just fucking nail that straight away.
Yeah, although I did because you can do it on easy or medium. I think I tried the medium. I got about halfway and then died. So
I finished it on medium with Sonic.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably like achievement hunt a bit in it. But I don't know if I'll go all out. We'll see.
I think you could get an easy 800 without having to do collectibles or anything.
Yeah. And then that's it from me. So yeah, back on the Xbox now for a bit.
Thank God. Welcome back.
Someone's got to play it.
Exactly.
I think as we'll talk about next week, I think it could be quite an Xbox start of the year for a few of us. So, but we're not on about 2024, boys. Let's get to our topic of the show. Tuts. So we like to do our Game of the Year awards, and I can actually see, which is funny, that kind of funny doing their Game of the Year awards tonight as well.
This week,
copying.
Yeah. Theirs is out out tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
So, but we like to do it in the year because obviously the year's ended. So, right. So I sent the boys.
It just makes sense, right, boys?
It just makes sense. So I did send the boys a sheet to fill in. Craig has chosen not to, and he's just copied it to an email. But we'll assume he's done all the bits and bobs. So we'll do that.
You know what? I did. I think I copied mine to a Google Docs. And I was trying to send it back to you, and I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't be bothered to look it up. So I was like, "Fuck it, copy and paste for the win." Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the only one that's good with IT, right? So,
Dave, you're good with computers.
I am. So let's get on to the individual awards before we get to the ones that are combinations, because some things just didn't work as individuals. So let's get to. We've got Craigos here. So subscription game of the year. Craig has misunderstood what I was asking. I was asking for a game. Or games that were on subscriptions. Craig has just given me the subscriptions in the order in which he liked them.
Oh, I thought you wanted which subscription was.
So let's get on. We've got Pengy's here. I know it's Pengy's because he's actually played some. So Pengy's subscription games of the year at number 1 was Cocoon. Number 2, he's got Metroid Fusion. And at number 3, he's got Jusant.
Yeah.
For me, I went for Hi-Fi Rush, Lad Gaiden, and Age of Empires 2. So there was no crossover because Craig just put Game Pass.
No. Well, what did I put, Dave? What did I put?
I'm not reading out your little notes. Game Pass obviously was number 1. And then the swear words in number 2, and then bashing over.
I think number 3 was whatever pitiful excuse of a subscription service Nintendo does.
Yeah, pretty much. So there we go.
So what we're actually saying though is because I'm giving it to 2 Game Pass games,
and I'm giving it to 3 Game Pass games. So Game Pass had a really good year.
That's 5 Game Pass, 1 NSO. So I think Craig actually was right there.
Yeah. Which leads us perfectly into our first combined award, which was the Platform of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So in no particular order, at number 3, the Nintendo Switch. Number 2,
the Stadia was robbed.
The Stadia was robbed.
You asked for a top 4, so I sent a top 4.
You did, and so did Craig. Craig put Stadia above Switch, and you put Evercade, but they weren't they weren't bronze or silver medalists. And number 2, we had the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Not PSVR 2. I was very surprised to hear. And number 1 by a landslide was Xbox. So we're going to award Xbox the Safe Slot 3 Platform of the Year. Not a surprise.
Good year. Good year for
when
Xbox.
When we get to the overall game of the year, you will see that is not a surprise that Xbox have had a good year, because I think they have had a very good year, especially on Game Pass. So we'll do that. So let's move on now to Backlog Game of the Year, which again is 3 separates because we all went for different games, I believe. So Craig put at number 3, High on Life. And
Great game.
More swear words towards me.
Yeah. Basically told David he needs to fucking go back and play it.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
I think I literally finished that on like January 4th of last year or something like that. There's not a lot of, to be honest with you, last year looking back, I did not play much backloggy games because there was just so much new shit coming out.
I just think you've played a lot of games this year in general.
Yeah.
It's just been a very heavy Craig year. Number 2, Craig had Crisis Core Remaster, which is funny because I still haven't finished that. I don't think Pengels has either.
No.
And
I am Mr. Final Fantasy.
He's
as they say.
Mr. JRPG. Well, apparently you are Mr. Final Fantasy. And number 1, he's got Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
The best Spider-Man
Great
game.
shit.
Pengels went for number 3, Fire Emblem Fates Revelation on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. And The Last of Us Part 1. That's number 1.
Yes. Yeah.
So there we go. I had Pokemon Legends Arceus as number 3, which snuck in because I played it literally. I finished it like the 3rd of January. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which I had at number 2. And Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope was my number 1, which I really enjoyed. And I did talk about a lot throughout the year.
Did that come out in 2022?
It did come out in 2022.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have said it come out like February this year.
No one cared, Chris. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So what have we got? So let's get on to just see what we've got combined. Because we got we got our next combined one, which is the Remaster Remake DLC of the Year award. Interestingly, Chris did not vote for a DLC, which he did vote for on his Game of the Year list, but that didn't make the remaster list. We'll talk about it later. So at joint number 2/3, we have got Before Your Eyes on the PlayStation VR 2.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 4 Remake. And the winner of the Remaster Remake Re-Release DLC of the year is Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition.
What a game.
Because Craig put it as number 3 and I had it number 1. I was surprised that Craig didn't put Monster Hunter Rise, because he did play a lot of it, but he also played a lot of the other games. So
yeah, I was also tempted to put it in my backlog, but I never really properly finished it. So I feel like that's one that I could I sneak that into this year's awards at the end of this year when I finally go back and finish that game.
And Craig is the only one of us that did not vote for Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventure. Me and Pengy both did vote for it, but Craig did not.
To be fair, I didn't know whether to put the 2 big remakes in that category because it almost seems silly.
It's just a lot of remakes this year. I think it's one of those where it was like, okay. Let's just...
I think for the 2024 version of this, I can already, you mentioned it before, like Last of Us Part 2, that could be when you remaster. I think would Rebirth count? Because it's not really a remake, but it is it's a reimagining, I guess. That's 2. Paper Mario, that's 3. Another go.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2.
Yeah,
we're starting off strong. Persona.
Yeah, we'd have a top 5 next year in this award just from remasters.
Exactly. So let's get on to the next award, which is a joint award and is the worst award. Pengels is typing on his form now, apparently, which is not helpful. Are you deleting your form? Don't be deleting your form, Chris, because I'm still using it.
I thought you were using the spreadsheet.
I am, but I'm also referring to the form for ease of use. So stop tinkering, Pengeli. So, best smaller budget game of the year. At number 3, we had Golfy on the Steam Deck.
I don't even know what that is.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Card-based golf roguelite that I played on the Steam Deck, which was my most played Steam Deck game.
You say we play weird games.
I got center code, so I played it. At number 2, Jusant. And at number 1, Cookie.
Don't nod.
Because you two play weird little indie games, because you're weird little indie people.
Cocoon is very good.
So now we've got...
Jusant's really good as well. It's really hard to pick between them.
Now we've got this stuffy art rubbish out of the way. Let's get on to the award that everyone wants to see. Worst purchase of the year.
Yes.
So, boys, at joint 3rd/4th, we had me selling and then buying a PS5, joined with me purchasing Final Fantasy 16. So we could almost count that as one. But I put Final Fantasy 16 as my second worst purchase of the year.
I love that.
At number 2, Dave's Steam Deck. But the resounding winner, with quite a lead, to be honest with you, is Chris Pengeli's PlayStation VR 2. So Chris,
who would have thought it?
Chris, talk us through it. How bad was the PSVR 2?
Not great, really. But I did forget about the whole PS5 6 weeks and that thing, where I would have voted. I would have only given it the 1 point.
You can try and throw me under the bus, right? At the end of the day, I've provided Craig with some of his best games of the year.
I would have only given it 1 point.
And it wouldn't have made a difference because PSVR 2 was so clearly the winner. Yeah, I can't believe how bad I know, like, we take, like, I'm joking here about obviously me and my weird little purchases, but I cannot believe how quickly the PSVR 2 fell because Chris did so much content up until the day the fucker came out. And then I think he did 2 videos, maybe 3, and then didn't play it again. And we haven't heard about it since, have we, really?
Nope. So what is it? They even weirdly, yesterday. I say yesterday, but it was like 1 o'clock our time. And Sony announced a new MR headset thing. So VR is dead. MR is where it is.
The weird thing is that literally everyone and their dog predicted that as well, and it still Painful's bought one. It was just baffling.
Plus, the thing is, I was even saying it. You remember, if you go back to episodes, I had one pre-ordered and then cancelled it, and I was like, I don't think it's going to do much. And then I still bought one.
Can't see it happening next year.
Next year's is going to be interesting for worst gaming purchase of the year.
So Dave buys one.
No, it could be anything next year. This year, sorry, it could be anything. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Could it be the Switch 2?
Could be the Switch 2. Could be a PS5 Pro. It could be a certain game. Who knows?
Yeah.
So let's go on to the main award, the Save Slot 3 Game of the Year award. So there was over 20 different games this year. There was 23.
What was 23rd?
I've not ordered it all, Pengils, right? We're doing the top 10.
Oh.
So, at joint 9 and 10, we have 2 remakes, and that is Dead Space and Mario RPG, which me and Craig respectively had a third. Yeah. So that's fine. Good games. I think we're both happy with those games. It's all good games this year as well, apart from one game. But that's what you two haven't got any taste. At joint number 7 and 8, which is going to be hard for me to remember, is Like a Dragon Gaiden, Man Who Erased His Name, and Resident Evil 4 Remake.
I'm guessing me, you had that at 2.
We did. No Chris Pengeli picks yet. You'll see why.
Nope.
Right, so next at joint, the maths here, 5 and 6?
I don't know.
Let's go with 5 and 6. We've got Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed. The DLC that Chris gave Game of the Year to and didn't mention at any other point.
Is in the words of CDPR, when you speak about Phantom Liberty, it's not DLC, it's an expansion.
But yeah, did that feel like Chris's game of the year to you, Craig?
No, not at all.
Nor me. Other games that you did vote for that didn't make it, that you talked about more: RoboCop, Star Ocean, Bayonetta Origins, Fire Emblem Engage. But that was that. And then the next one above it, which you two both voted for, I think it's the first game that has multiple votes. That is Cocoon. Obviously, I didn't vote on it because why would I play a game like that?
You need to play it. It's so good.
Need isn't the word, Pinky.
That is the word. Bin off Demon Souls or whatever you're playing and play Cocoon.
Oh, I'm good. So that's sort of that. So let's get to now, which I believe, let me just do a quick little count to game number 4. Another game that makes me feel physically sick, Final Fantasy 16.
Woo!
Chris had at number 3, Craig had at like 6, I think.
No, I think I had 7.
It's whatever. It got 4 points. That's why it's on here. So yeah,
well, I gave it 8 points.
Yeah, so 4 plus 8 is 12.
Yeah.
At number 3, so this is the gold. This is the bronze medal. Any predictions, boys, of what the bronze medal game is?
Either Starfield or Hi-Fi Rush.
Pengy?
Yeah, I'm thinking Starfield.
The number 3 game was Starfield. 0 points from Chris Pengelly.
Wait, what?
But 7 points from Craig, 6 points.
That was your game of the year at one point, Pengels.
No, he liked A Space Unbound, Jusant, and Bayonetta Origins more.
Wait a minute, Chris Pengelly. What shenanigans have you done here?
They need shenanigans.
Dave. At one point, he was like, "This is my game of the year," right?
And he finished it. He put 30, 40 hours into it.
More than that.
Quickly forgotten.
What? Wait a minute, Chris. This is madness. This was I am gonna have to go back and clip this.
It's my second.
You were literally like, "This is my game of the year." You preferred this to Final Fantasy.
So for context, Chris has only put 2 Xbox games in his top.
That is,
but has also
even
that
for
that's
you, that is
year.
mental.
So that's Jusant and Cocoon. That's the only 2 Xbox games he's put in the top 10.
Chris Pengelly, that is shameful.
Which means at number 2, sadly, is my game of the year, and Craig gave it 6 points as well, and that is Hi-Fi Rush. That was our number 2. I loved it. I thought it was the most original, best looking, just enjoyable game that I played all year. Outstanding.
It's a great game.
Absolutely outstanding game. And the DLC was really good for it as well, which I played when I finished it. Great game. Nothing from Chris Pengelly as well, Craig. Nothing.
I have only done the first level.
But you'll play it when it comes to PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah, and get the platinum for it.
You won't get the platinum.
You won't get the platinum. It's too hard for that. Fucking having was your film should be there.
Which means, boys and girls, that unfortunately, the Save Slot 3 Game of the Year 2023, with a massive 20 points, which is 10 points from Craigo, 9 points from Pengy, and 1 point from me.
And is it the only game that we've all voted for as well?
It is the only game we've all voted for, which is why it won. By quite a margin as well, to be honest. Is Spider-Man 2.
Woo!
I didn't like it that much, but I finished it, so it had to be on there.
Actually deserves.
Right.
Yeah, I'm guessing me and Chris both had this at number 1, then, yeah.
Chris had it at number 2. He had the Xenoblade DLC at number 1.
Oh, fuck's sake, Chris. Such an idiot.
But yeah.
But it's an expansion that's 18 hours long.
Yeah, but so was Spider-Man 2.
It's 26 or something for platinum. So
why did you like it so much, Craig? Because I don't really want to hear what Chris has to say. I think Chris has ruined his credibility again. He does this every year.
I think obviously after playing Miles Morales, I thought it just added a hell of a lot. That was very good. Obviously the movement and the traversal was awesome again. But I really liked that. I thought the cinematic moments were really cool. I thought the story on the whole was really good, other than the end, which they bowled. I like the swapping between the Spider-Men. I like the fact they both felt kind of different. I like the fact that it had the cool moments when you're playing as Venom and stuff like that as well.
Venom is cool. Saying weirdly though, unlike you, I played them the other way around this year. Like I've already played Miles, but in a broken state. Well, the game not broken, my PS5 broken. I'm playing Miles after Spider-Man 2 this year. The Miles game does do some stuff that I would actually like. Oh, that was missing in Spider-Man 2. Like all the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man thing. It's only a simple swipe of the touchpad on the DualSense, but it's like, oh, this is how you get side quests. This is quite nifty, and how you talking to the other characters and stuff with all that. There's a few bits and pieces. And like with the fast travel being so quick in Spider-Man 2, like you're missing all the subway cutscenes and all like the whole story around that in Spider-Man and Miles Morales. So there's a few bits and pieces, and like, oh, well, they could have, taken out or kept in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I only had it at number 10, I don't know. I'm a little bit superheroed out, which I don't think does it its favour. I just didn't think it was. I don't think it was better than Miles Morales. I just think it was just too similar. It was the same city, same kind of fights. It was really predictable where it was going, and it felt fine. It was fine. It was just there was a lot better games I played in the year. So I mean, I had Mario Wonder above it. I had F-Zero 99 above it. I had Football Manager 24 above it. I had Pikmin 4 above it. Even the 6 hours of Hogwarts I played was more interesting than Spider-Man. I sold it. Didn't even bother to platinum it because I was just like, that's okay. But it was still a good game, but it was just, for me, it was too similar to everything else. It's kind of how I felt about Horizon last year. I was just like, oh, it's just kind of bored. I was quite bored. Like, it was one of those that I bought it, so I finished it, to be perfectly honest with you. But I can understand why you've both given it Game of the Year.
Yeah,
well, actually, you haven't, Chris, because you're wronging. But yeah.
We could have given it the 21 points instead, I guess. I don't know if you're saying the board in the city, when it comes to Spider-Man 3 or something. This is the problem. It's Spider-Man is going to be in New York. Will it be fatigued by then? It'll be the fourth game in New York as Spider-Man, and you got to think it's going to be a similar story. It's going to be Miles as the main Spider-Man sort of thing instead of Peter, and then retreading around. So maybe it gets boring by the third one or something, but if that's 2027 or whatever, that's maybe you want a Spider-Man game in by then again. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a really strange one. It's one of those where again I get it, but I hope that they don't. I hope they don't go back to Spider-Man for a while. I think unfortunately with those leaks, we know that there's going to be Venom. We know from the ending of this there's going to be Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
As well as Wolverine, and I'm kind of like,
and X-Men was the other one as well.
And I'm kind of like, I'm marveled out anyway. I'm marveled out because of the TV. I'm marveled out because of the movies. I'm kind of just like, I could do without a superhero game. For a while.
That's the thing. We don't want to the leaks, but the Wolverine, at least the leaks is it's in Toronto. It's in somewhere in the States. It was was it Tokyo or something on the levels? This variety where Spider-Man is gonna be New York because that's where Spider-Man is.
But yeah. Hi-Fi Rush was robbed. Star Wars Jedi didn't make the top 10 because I didn't play much of it and Chris didn't like it, I don't think.
No.
And somehow Chris didn't like Mario Wonder more than he liked A Space Unbound. Or Starfield or Hi-Fi Rush.
I would have had Sonic Superstars above Mario Wonder for a start.
And Football Manager, you've played 40 hours of already, and that didn't make your list.
Yeah, I always it always seems weird with Football Manager.
Came out.
Yeah.
Don't be a coward. You haven't got a panda. You haven't got a panda to
I'm not. So my list, because they went through it. So A Space for the Unbound was 10th.
Never even heard of it. I've never if you mentioned it on a podcast, I must have drowned out.
Which I played on Switch. Jusant. Then I did. You not vote for Jusant, Craig? I thought you might have given it 9 or 10.
I think I gave it 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jusant. Then Bayonetta Origins. Then Fire Emblem Engage. Star Ocean Second Story R. Robocop Rogue City, which everyone should play. It's a great game. Fifth best in my opinion. Then Cocoon. Then Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. So
right, I'm gonna go back and I'm going to find with Chris Pengelly on the podcast. It's like, oh, Starfield's my game of the year, and next week's episode we can just open with Chris saying that on Doom for a bit.
Right.
We can see the hypocrisy as it lives.
Just as we're watching the developer direct as well.
Yes.
But that was back in September. You know, I've played Spider-Man 2 since then.
Right.
And I played RoboCop since then.
Right.
It's like our comments often say, Chris is the panderer of panderer. He loves to pander to an audience. He has to sound like he's being smart by saying games that he does. Like, I honestly, I might have to re-watch the episodes to see when you last talked about Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed in the context of Game of the Year compared to RoboCop, which you loved, and Star Ocean, which you loved.
When I finished it, actually, is last time
Madness.
But it is my But remember, when I finished Future Redeemed, I moved Xenoblade Chronicles up to my second favorite Switch game of all time, and like 53 on my top 100 games of all time.
Of course, so I remember that. Craig, do you remember that?
Yes, fondly.
We did my top 100 episode thing, so it kind of felt right to put Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed at first, because without that expansion, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 wouldn't be as high on my top 100 and on my top Switch list.
Lovely. Well, that, boys, is 2020.
But I have got 1, 2, 3, 4 Switch games in my top 10. So Switch maybe not mid.
Right. Well, you, like I said, we said this, the hypocrisy. You gave Xbox Platform of the Year and then only voted for 2 indie games in your top 10. So there we go. Yeah. There we go. But let's end it now.
I would point out all these Switch games. All these Switch games came out before certain games.
You've let your hatred of Tears of the Kingdom blind you, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
that's this year. That's that you're done, boys. We're on to the new year. It's 2024. There's a whole lot of new games to play. We've got our backlogs set. We've started the Fantasy Critic. It's an exciting time. So we will be back next week for episode 100. I don't know if there's going to be a special episode, or are we going to... I don't know. We'll have to come up with a plan. We will probably do something around the Xbox Developer Direct when that's a thing the week after. But yeah, keep your eye out. Again, if you got this far, comment in the comments what your top 3 games of the year were. Obviously, type Chris is a hypocrite as well if you want.
I'm a hypocrite. Just explain why Xenoblade's number 1.
Well, you can explain why you're a hypocrite. It doesn't stop you being a hypocrite, Chris. But yeah, thank you for a good year. We've had a really good year on Save Stop 3 since we've changed over the names, and we've just started enjoying ourselves, haven't we? So we'll be back next week for episode 100. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.